Hey, this is Tristin Raquel. I'm so glad to be with y'all today as we jump into our conversation for fused marriages. We are talking about the number one way to destroy your marriage. You do not want to miss it. So grab a friend, grab a popcorn, grab a pen, because we have a lot to talk about. Thank you for tuning in. We are Tristin and Michael, and you are listening to Fused, transparent conversations for marriage, family, and relationships. We invite you to join us as we discuss topics that are thought about but not talked about. So tell your friends and family to check us out. And as always, feel free to visit our website for more content and resources, fusedmarriages.com. Hey.
Hey, what's happening with you?
Just here.
See, I messed your vibe up earlier. I messed the vibe up, y'all. We cut it out, but she's like, yeah.
Y'all don't know he does the absolute most before we come on camera. He does
being me.
And he is the most.
I'm just being me, y'all.
His disposition is all like, he's cool, calm, and collected.
I am. See, that's what you're right. That's what y'all. They don't know no different.
Well, now they will, because off camera, I'm like, this dude, and you'll see some slips of it because he's becoming more comfortable.
I've been comfortable. It's never been not been a comfort thing.
Let's just go.
I'm just saying, I have never been like uncomfortable.
I meant uncomfortable on camera and talking and showing different sides of yourself.
I've been comfortable with that too.
Sir.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, let him see how you really are.
Hey, no, I can't do that.
See?
Y'all ain't ready for that.
See what I mean?
They might judge me.
Because on camera,
they might judge
he
me.
like, he chilling, he's wise, and he is all of that. But off camera, before the camera rolls, it is the most extra.
It is the most. I do a little bit extra. I can't help it though, because it's what it is. But anyway.
So hi.
We're back.
Right back. Welcome to today's show, everybody. Thank y'all for joining us. We are going to be talking about something that I think is really important and that people really want to know the answer to, and it is the number one way to destroy your marriage. Because if you know, according to us, because if you know what this is, then you can take steps to try to avoid this and try to recognize when some things are creeping in your marriage that could really wreak havoc and cause that marriage not to last, or at the very least to be unhappy. So we're going to be diving into this conversation as we move into it. I would like for you to kind of, give them a little bit of what you were thinking when we kind of talk through this topic.
I'm just gonna say what it not is, right? Because what
it not is.
Yeah, it made sense when I said it, so they know what I'm talking about. What it is not.
Oh, okay.
I can change it up and make clean up, but you know what?
Be you, boo.
I'm just saying. You said you wanted to see me, so
when I see you.
But what we're not talking about is communication, even though that's a very significant.
It's important.
Issue. It's not number one.
Not number one.
It's not money.
Not number one.
It's not number one. It's important. It happens and people fall out because of that.
They do, don't
It's not sex.
Not sex.
Even though that's another big one, the top three.
It's a big one.
What typically people say.
Ooh-wee.
But it's not any of those.
What is it, babe?
I'm not going to say. I'm going to let you say.
You said it all the way up?
I did say it all the way up.
All right. So as he just introed, it's not the things that people typically say, although those are all important. But the number one reason the number one way that we can destroy marriage is through this thing called pride.
That's what we saying.
Pride.
That's what we're going to break it down. We can't talk about every single aspect of pride, but I think we're going to be able to break it down to the level. At least people start considering, like, hold on, maybe it's not money. Maybe it's not fine. Maybe it's not communication. Maybe it's not sex. Maybe those are part of the list.
Maybe.
What's that?
Pride is the root of all of those things.
Well, let's talk about it. You're going to jump all the way to the end, to the end of the paper. Like, good Lord, see, you got to just, spoon feed and then come. Anyway, but go different styles anyway. But yeah, maybe.
Yeah. So y'all come close, listen in, and connect and communicate, because we want to hear what you say. Have you found any of these pieces of pride or arrogance in your relationship? Maybe it's you. Some of this is going to take some critical thinking about your own behaviors, your own challenges. So let's jump in. All right. So pride, according to what we believe, is the number one way to destroy your marriage.
Number one.
All right. So pride looks like blank.
Yeah, doing what you want to do. That's one way.
Pride looks like doing what you want to do.
Doing what you want to do when you want to do it, right? Without regard to your significant other. Right? That's one, we're just going to frame it up. We want to read off our list that we have. How you want to do it? I can go down the list. Okay. Doing something, thinking I'm right, and be dead wrong.
That's how he wrote it.
That's exactly how I wrote it. Mm-hmm. Y'all can't read that, but that's what it's. I read it just like that. No,
doing something.
Yeah. Thinking I'm right,
thinking you're right,
and being dead wrong.
And be dead wrong. Okay,
and be dead wrong. All right, knowing something and not having humility in what you know. So you do know something, but you don't have humility in what you know. We just kind of framing up, pride. Really, let's just an appetizer of pride. Just kind of get to everybody thinking about what it is, how it fits, and so forth. All right. Arrogance and pride are cousins. Okay. It could be brothers, but we're gonna call them cousins. Maybe they not blood related, but they lead. Well, that's blood related. Maybe they not gonna have the same maternal mother and father, but their mother has a sister, and they had kid and the kid and the two cut. Okay, anyway, so arrogance and pride are cousins. I'm saying they related.
We could have just started
they
there.
Relate. That's all. That's all right. Not that they might be brothers, but they related. I put
You did put they even.
Be brothers. I'm just saying. So arrogance and pride are cousins.
I'm sorry. This is an important topic, but you literally wrote arrogance and pride are cousins. They might even be brothers.
Yeah, I did write that. But it's the truth. I was thinking. I was
okay.
like, yeah.
All right. Let's dig into some of the details of what this looks like. So. We've touched on some ways that you might see it in yourself or in your spouse. Obviously, we should probably start first within and then look to, hey, I see this in my marriage. This is kind of manifesting. So as we go through this, I want to really make sure that we discuss the different kind of levels of what pride can look like. Because there could be something just as simple as like, oh, I knew that, and go to as extreme is what you didn't know that. Right, There's a lot that is in the tone. There's a lot that's in, bless you.
Ooh, excuse me.
There's a lot that's in there that can be really covert, and then there's that thing that makes it really overt, which can really take it over the top. And this is where that tone can come into really being condescending. So it might not even just be the words, but your pride can come out in how you are communicating, which is why I said at the top, communication might not be the issue. It might not be that something is being said. It might be how it's said. It might be the heart behind it, how it's said. And that can go through the list. So the first one I really want to jump into is...
Before you say that, can I just say this?
Oh, shoot.
Just to set this, I don't want you to jump into one, but for sure. We got to be honest. Every single one of us got some level of pride, right? Some more than others. You can attest to that, We all trying to control and manage our pride in a way that's like, we kind of like, we want to promote ourselves. We just naturally want to promote ourselves, look out for ourselves, want our way, which we have to kind of tame that down, particularly when you're dealing with other people and definitely within a marriage, right? So I think we got to start from that foundation of saying, okay, you know what? I got a little bit. You got a little bit. I might have a lot. You might say I got a lot at some point. I mean, I'm working on me, so I'm good with that. But we all got some level of pride. There you go. Sorry.
Agreed. And it might be in different areas too. So I might know that I'm not good at this thing, but I know I'm great at this thing. So if you start commenting on this thing that I'm great at, you're chipping away at something that I'm like, hold on, that's my territory. So we'll get into that a little bit. But the first one I want to discuss is assuming you understand how your spouse feels. That's prideful.
That's prideful.
So jump into it.
That is, even hearing that is like, I wrote it. So I was like, oh, wow. I might have done that maybe a time or two. Maybe yesterday. I don't know. But you gotta fight against the idea that you actually, I know how she feel.
Give an example.
Oh man. Okay. Let's say, you know what? You having a bad day, right? And you kind of expressing to me about your day, this, that, and the other. And really in passing, I kind of like, okay, you know what? Just another day for her. She's just talking. She's just going off on, just what she normally does. I'm making an assumption that it was just something that just happened, is normal normal. It was something that, you know what, yeah, she get over it. Or it could be better yet, you know what, hey, I've got to put the dishes up. And it's a sensitive topic, by the way. Dishes up. And I'm thinking, like, it's just the dishes, this and the other. But I may not know the backstory, like, oh, you know, you might have cleaned up completely the day before, and you want to have it maintained for the next 2 days. But just a dish. That's a sketchy one, but that's a prideful. It's
not sketchy.
Well, somebody may make that statement like, well, you know, it's just dishes. I'm trying to give them an out to kind of really open up the thinking of be careful with that. Not to say it is absolutely always is, but it's just one of them things like, you gotta be careful that you assume that you understand how your spouse is thinking or feeling. Yeah.
Because I think there is a difference between empathizing or sympathizing and knowing how they feel and why they feel that way. Because there's still an aspect, which is really the foundation of, though you may have experienced the same thing and you might get that I'm sad or I'm upset or I'm frustrated, you don't know my why. You don't know how, to what degree, we talked about the levels, to what degree I'm offended. So it can be, I've put stuff on the counter after you wiped off the counter, and you've put stuff on the counter after I've wiped it off. So we might have like the same base, but you may not understand that when I cleaned off the counter, I was already tired before I started. Right. And so I'm not tired because I cleaned off the counter. I'm tired because I cleaned off the counter and I cleaned up the rest of the kitchen and I had a full day of work and I had all of these things. So when I did that, it was almost like you have it's compounded, where for you it might be, well, I'm tired because I cleaned up this space. So it can be different degrees of that same thing. So I think that it's interesting, just to go off your counter, your cleaning example, because I think that it's really important to recognize that the pride creeps in when I think that what you're feeling may not be as big a deal as you're making it. Yeah. I might start invalidating how you feel or invalidating your experience. And by doing so, I'm saying, I know, I get it, I'm up here, and your response is unmerited. It's not that big a deal. If you've said that before, maybe you've heard that. I don't know why you're tripping on that. That's not that major.
Right.
And that is really, not only is it insensitive, it's really arrogant. It's really prideful. Because you're really putting your spouse or your partner in a position where now you're destroying the trust between the relationship, because I can't even tell you that I'm upset about the thing that you did because you don't think, you think it's dumb, or you think it's stupid, or you think it's silly, or you think it's over dramatic even.
Yeah. It's the biggest thing is like, whenever there's an issue, let's say that we have between each other or that you have with the world, with anybody else outside of the house, and to go into it and say, well, it's like, why are you tripping? I think you used that term. I think I might have used it, hopefully not recently, but I have, you know what I mean? Just to be honest, like, and if I didn't say it, I thought it, you know what I mean? Some people ain't saying stuff. Just because you ain't saying don't mean you're not prideful. You thinking it, you know what I mean? And like, you over here, I'm just trying to help somebody, like that's maybe quietly prideful, which is, everybody ain't boisterous and kind of communicating their pride and their statements. They're kind of just sitting like, but you thinking
wait,
like,
what was the look?
Yeah, you gotta go to YouTube, see this. If you listening to on the podcast or anything like that, you got to YouTube, check it out. That's the look. That's it. And it's like it's almost like you got it. You know what I mean? You got it. I think we heard that back in somebody.
You got
it. You got it. But the idea is that whenever you're going through something, Lord forbid, somebody you do something accidentally, even right. I forgot to pick up the kids, or messed up the kitchen, or didn't sweep right. Oh, that kind of sounds bad. Maybe not that. That's kind of like maybe abusive. But if you tell me, Michael, you didn't sweep right, I'm like, okay,
that's a little bit controlling.
That's a little bit controlling. Right. It's a bad example. But the idea is that we done something to each other, and when literally I may get over it, and you're not, and I'm like, why are you not over it? That potentially could be prideful. And I think it's important to also recognize that we're not talking about just kind of like nitpicking at every single thing, because you're not trying to pick apart your partner. You're not trying to make it like everything is this, but there are certain things that are important to you and that you should be able to communicate to your partner, and they value it because it's important to you, versus dismiss it and say that's silly. Because even in marriage, this might be kind of controversial. I don't know if I want to go this direction, but I'm going to. You have to have certain boundaries to what you
what is important in your environment. I think it's important when you come together as a marriage that you're communicating, hey, every Sunday I like to do this. Hey, one of my things is I have to work out every day. That's something that I'm going to need. So how do we work that into the us as we're becoming one versus, well, my time is your time and I don't really need anything in particular. So whatever you decide for our marriage, like you still remain a whole you in the context of your marriage. And in doing so, you value me enough and I value you enough that when I'm saying something is important, you don't dismiss it as if it's silly or stupid because it may not be as important to you. Because that would be where the arrogance comes in. Well, it's not important to me, so it really shouldn't be important to you. Well, you said that you wanted this thing, but I want this. So and you make this person less of who they really are in negating what they value. Did that make sense?
I like it. I love it. Yeah, I absolutely love it. Now, why are you looking like that? Like I didn't really like. I loved it. Yeah, I loved it. It was a great response.
Thanks, babe, for the affirmation. Okay, I want to get into the second one. So thinking you know what your spouse needs or wants is prideful.
I think it's the assumption, right, of going into, even if I've known you for X amount of years, we've been together for 10, 15, whatever, to not giving you the room to basically to move into another direction, right? I'm going to keep giving you what you always, or what I thought you always wanted or needed. I might want to go into a different career. I might want to be a preacher. I might want to do something different. I might want to move, whatever it is. I might want to move from the city to the country, and automatically assuming that, you know what? No, I know her. I know her. I know what she wants. Like, it doesn't give you room to say, hey, you know what? Has anything changed about you?
Have they evolved in some
Have you
way?
evolved? Are you even observing that they've evolved? Most of us do evolve over time. Some people stay the same from now until, but most of us change. And it's prideful to kind of say, you know what? I met her. You know what? She was a great mother. She stayed at home and was a mother then. Why she want to go to work? That's prideful. To kind of like take that stance in your heart of like, okay, hold on, it's been working. Why you want to change it? Because I'm changing. And if you get off your pride, you might open your mind up to be able to look at that and to potentially say, hey, you know what? Let me take a look at this. I'm just saying. Hope I ain't stepping on nobody's toes out there. But I mean, it's prideful.
But if he is.
Yeah. It's not intentional, but it is intentional. So, but because it's the truth that we have to recognize really what pride is. And I say I had to recognize, I start with that. And really see myself in a way that like, okay, hold on. I got some prideful tendencies, thinking that, you know what, my wife may not want to go to the West Coast every single summer just because I want to. Even if it's a great fun time. Maybe she want to go somewhere different. I mean, this is real. I'm just saying, like, I'm not making that up. But like, you know what I mean? That's a prideful stature. Like, you know, I'm thinking, oh, it's fun, this, that, and the other. We have a good time. Why change it? That's pride. To say, you know what, I'm going to force my ideas my way, even if we liked it once, to say this is what we're going to continue doing.
I think the end of that was really powerful too. Like, all of that was so true. But even saying, I'm going to force my will in my way, because I think that's really, it's kind of like that snake that just kind of comes in, because you're not doing it to cause harm necessarily. You see it. You've, particularly for people that are very cerebral and think things out. We've talked about this on a previous show, that think things out before they talk them out. That in that happens to be like my husband. He will generally and definitely have improved, but will have thought out all of the things, and then will bring the final. This is what I have thought out. And then anything like, well, have you considered this? Or what about this? Well, I don't really want to do this, is almost like an offense. It's not this way anymore. But for years of our marriage, it was that way, where he would kind of bring this final plan and expect us to implement it.
Why are you not buying in? I didn't thought about this for 6, 8, 9 a year.
And nobody would know. Nobody would know. For him.
Yeah, but me being in my head.
And then he would. And then so it caused a lot of conflict, because he had put so much brain energy into figuring this thing out, and then I just poke holes and disagree. And so it created conflict in our relationship, because he felt that he knew what was best for all of us. And sometimes I agreed, and sometimes I thought it was a good idea, and sometimes I didn't. But then I was subject to almost more what I would classify almost like childlike, like, hey, this is what we are doing, the end. And if that's happening in your marriage, that can be a huge root of not only challenge, but resentment and frustration, because that person is not allowed to be an equal partner or an adult even. And then they become subject to this thing of, like they're not allowed to grow and to think and to participate, not just in the family planning, but who they want to be. Yeah. Like, hey, I want to change my career, as you used an example of that. Well, if you have held them to who you think that they should be or who they were when you first met, or the ideal, hey, I married the best person for me, and then they start changing. Wait a minute. Now you're wondering if they're the best person for you versus allowing yourself to grow with them and saying, okay, let us grow together. What is it that you're interested in now? Why are you choosing that? Let's look into that together. How can I make your dreams come true? Partner to partner. That's so amazing. I heard an entrepreneur and preacher, Torrey Roberts, recently say, and I'm not going to say it as well as he did, but he was talking about how his desire in marriage is to help his spouse become the greatest version of themselves. And I've heard that in different spaces, in different places, in different ways. But I think that is critically important, that we allow one another to grow instead of our pride saying, this is who I think they should be. This is who I see them as, and this is where I want to keep them. Instead, pushing back insecurity and pushing back all, because some of that pride is just you being insecure, but that might not be a conversation we jump into today. But pushing back those things and saying, hey, I want them to be the greatest and best version of themselves, and I'm blessed to have the opportunity to be involved in that. And that is when your pride goes down, because everything about you is to help and to give to that other person. And when you have that mutually, hey, I want to see you be the best and you want to see me be the best, then we are forever giving one another, and we're looking to help and to serve and to love one another. And I don't believe that this hubris and love can exist in the same place at the same time. I don't think that you can be prideful and full of self and full of love for others simultaneously.
Yeah. So the danger, that's amazing how you put that all together. You use hubris. I was like, I have to go like, okay, I need to maybe look that up for myself. Maybe y'all do too. Put the definition across the screen so we can know what that means exactly. She used it great in the sentence, but you're not gonna use those type of words. But the idea is that I'm being dead serious. The thing about it is it's dangerous. It's dangerous to think that my thinking, my way of doing something is the best way. It's to assume that even if it's well thought out, well planned, history to prove this as this how this will work, it without coming to a place of saying, hey, you know what? Can we talk about this? Right. And the thing is, you two come together and talk about it, and you're able to then kind of show them in a way like, hey, you know what? This is something we should consider. Even they have a different idea, maybe counter to yours, to hear them out. Right. And they hear you out. But to kind of force your way in there, some people do that, financially. I ain't paying for that. Basically try to force their way. I'm not going there. I'm not going to do that. I don't want to go to over their house. I want to sit at home, basically, whatever it is, the idea of the movement of wanting to do something or having to say something. You got to pride gets in the way of really, 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 really between the two couples, between the two people rather.
Absolutely. It is definitely a divider. And that's why we think it's the number one, because it shows up in so many different places. Whether that's, your finances, that's one you kind of reference, whether it's your relationship or how you connect with other people's, whether it's sex. There's lots of jokes even about how one partner might want something more, but if there's not a connection and there's pride and there's arrogance, then even your intimacy is going to be decreased in the enjoyment for either partner. So I want to jump into this last one with our last few minutes together. Is pride shows itself when you see your partner at fault way more than you see yourself at fault.
To me, honestly, I think this is one of the biggest ones, really, of how pride presents itself in the most obvious way. It's always, always. It's a lot of times it's the other person's fault. It's the other spouses if they just did. I'm mad because they did this. I can't believe they did that. Well, when I hear they, that's a pride statement. They don't realize when they're talking to me or somebody saying that, like, okay, hold on. There's nothing you could have done different. Nothing, like nothing. It's all them. It's all on them to make the correction, right? And to me, that's a prideful posture to kind of like say that and position any kind of conversation with that. So if I come to you with an issue, and maybe it's something, a disagreement, whatever that we have, I got to first take a look at myself. You know what? Hey, you know what? We saw this differently. Maybe I should have done this differently to make it more clear what exactly what I meant, or this, that, and the other, but I saw your response to that, and it really, caused a conflict, whatever. But like the first part of that statement is like me coming to you and recognizing like, hey, maybe I wasn't as clear as I thought I was. I thought it was pretty clear to me when I said it, but maybe I wasn't, because evidently, either you missed it or you didn't hear it or whatever have you. I should have verified then that you heard it, because it's important to me that you heard it. Because you weren't listening. Well, okay, well, how you know that? Maybe you were confusing. Nobody know, you don't know to assume to go to that. That's a prideful posture to kind of to handle, to hold.
Mm-hmm. I agree. As you were talking, I was thinking about different indicators that you might have like a prideful disposition, and how it can affect like your marriage. Like sometimes I think we're so close that being reflective, particularly in the given moment, can be challenging. But I would urge everybody who's listening that you do have to kind of go back and look at other indicators in your life to see, like, is this a something that I'm displaying, or is this something that's being misconstrued? And then what is my responsibility to that? Because you can look at how you communicate maybe with a parent or a friend or a coworker and say, maybe I operate in a place of pride. Because if you're hearing it multiple places, I think it might be easier sometimes in relationships to be like, that's them, they tripping like that, whatever. And not recognize, hey, the problem is me. But maybe you have heard before, like, oh, you are so rude, or like you don't listen to me, or those kinds of things. You can start to say like, okay, am I really listening? Am I actively listening, or am I waiting to jump in, or am I shutting down? Like, am I completely ignoring this person? Or do people say I kind of talk crazy to them, or I'm rude to them, or something like that? Like, you can start to recognize, like, maybe I'm not operating out of a place of love, and instead I'm showing kind of this superior thought to everybody else. What do you think about that?
No, I think you're absolutely right. And if I had to leave like one takeaway that I would say, in addition to what you just said, just to add on to it, I say stop blaming the other person. Just stop. I don't care what they did, because then you have control. If they did something you didn't like, you can say, I'm not receiving that. I don't want that. I'm not responding to that. I mean, they may get you the first time, this, that, and the other, but so like to stop blaming the other person. I wish they would. I can't believe they didn't, whatever have you. To say, you know what? Unfortunately, we can't communicate in this way. I got to figure out different ways. I got to write it down and keep trying. Not saying to give up. I'm not trying to say that, but you got to stop. Whoever else out there, we have to stop blaming other people.
Well, wow, that's good. So we definitely want to know your thoughts on this conversation. If you agree or disagree that pride is the number one way that you can destroy your marriage. But we appreciate this conversation. We appreciate your insights. Please make sure that you are like, share, and subscribe. And we always want to encourage you to check out our website for more content and resources, fusemarriages.com. Let's talk about it.